Hey, it's Tori, and welcome to, or welcome back to my channel. Today we welcome Haley from Gore to the channel. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. It's a beautiful day out here in Texas. So
Good, I'm glad. Thank you so much for taking the time out of, I know like you've got the band, but you also have a full-time job as well. So I know you're like super busy with everything. So I appreciate you taking that time to be here on the channel and to talk with me. Ever since I discovered you and yes, you only have 2 songs, but those 2 songs have just absolutely blown me away and made me so excited to hear and to be on this musical journey with you. So yeah, I appreciate you being here.
yeah, thank you so much. And I remember seeing your reaction video to Doomsday. It was probably one of my favorite, if not like my most favorite reaction video that I've seen, just because like that's why we do this. It's why we
Mm-hmm.
make music, is because we want to connect with people. So I am definitely happy to be here, and I'm so glad that our two songs have made such a positive impact on people. So
Yeah, first, congratulations, of course, on the 500,000 streams that you got on Spotify on Prey in only 4 months. Like, how did you feel when you saw those numbers? I bet you were just like so excited and so happy.
yeah, so like when when I started this project, I knew that I had something special, and I knew like in my bones, a woman's intuition's pretty
Hmm.
pretty on. I knew it was going to do well, especially for a new band. Did I know to this degree? No. So when I don't even know what good looks like for a new band, because I had never started my own band. This is the first band that I have ever started. I always
Hmm.
was just joining other people's bands. So and in the world of death metal, which is where I came from, you don't see 500,000 streams on a new band. It's just not something that happens. So it really was it still is unreal, because we just hit 200K on Spotify on Doomsday, I think yesterday or the day
Hmm.
before. So even with being a bit slower to release the newer stuff, people are still coming back, and that makes me extremely grateful. So
Well, that's when you know that, like you said, that women's intuition, that you have a good feeling that this band is going to do great things. And even from just 2 songs alone, you've reached new heights and for a new band. And it's really awesome to see from my perspective as well. And I feel like I'm a proud friend of yours who who's discovered this band, and we've sort of had this connection, of course, with the reaction channel, and just seeing you guys do so well. And I'm super happy for you guys. And I wanted to know, like, how did the band come about, and how long had you guys been preparing yourselves before you did drop that first single?
yeah, so when I had moved to Arizona in November-ish of 2022, I don't know. I can't even like keep track of time anymore.
I know.
But yeah, like November of 2022, and I just left my old band and started a new life that I wasn't really prepared for, and I just thought like I want to try something this time that's me. I want to build something from the ground up that's mine, and share it with others, but
Mhm.
it be my vision and my sound. Because I wasn't able to ever sing very much in past projects. Um, so in January of 2023, I flew to St. Louis and wrote with some very good friends of mine, who are in other bands and have a good place in the music industry in their own right. And when that EP was done in January, I kind of started full speed, because I remember you guys haven't heard it yet, but I remember hearing the last song on the EP that is not fully out yet and just crying. Being like, I cannot believe this came out of me, out of
Mm-hmm.
us. So I kind of just went full speed with finding bandmates, and I had known Alex and Devin for a very long time, so I knew that they were going to be a perfect fit, and they have been. They're such awesome bandmates to have. And then the marketing. Uh, it's funny because I felt like I had all my ducks in a row, but it's just one of those things where you just kind of learn on the fly, no matter how
Yep.
hard you try.
Yep.
So yeah, that's it. It was only about a year ago that this band came to fruition.
That's crazy. And it's crazy how even in just a year and you've got these two songs, you still have a signature Gore sound to it. And I assume that was something that you really thought on, and that was something that you guys wanted to put out there, because sometimes when you've got a startup band and there's a lot of experimentation going on, but I feel like even though the two songs are different from each other, they still sound like Gore. Like you put that on and I can still feel that that's you and that's your band.
Yeah, and I've been told, funny because I've been told a lot that I have a very unique like singing voice. I've been told that a
Mm-hmm.
lot, but not always in the nice, like in the not as a good thing. I've had some people be like, it's just like your voice rubs me the wrong way for some reason, kind of growing up, and that's why it's so important to get in the room with people that love your voice and believe in your voice just as much as you do, or can at
Mm-hmm.
least bring that out of you. Because now that I hear, our songs, mixed and mastered and being released, I'm really proud of the fact that we have a very identifiable sound already.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because, as I said, like some of these startup bands, they release single after single, and it sounds so different, whereas yours doesn't. It sounds very cohesive, and it sounds like you guys have been around for forever, and you've been planning this for a very long time, and it's only been, what, a year? And yet you've put that hard work in for yourself, going, of course, and writing with friends and having these ideas. And you also answered a question I had as well, whether you guys would be building up to an EP release or an album release.
Yeah, so it's funny because it's not a secret, but it's not something that we advertise, because if you go to our Spotify page, it does say at the end of the bio that we'll be releasing our
Mm-hmm.
debut EP in 2024. We try not to put like a date or anything on it because we're still figuring things out as well on our
Right.
end, but everybody can fully expect our first full release, to be an EP.
Awesome. That makes me so excited, and I can't wait to hear what else you guys have for us. I wanted to know also, like, what does Gore mean to you? Like, what does it represent?
Yeah, so it's so funny because I have it in my head so clearly, and every day I get better and better at explaining it to people. Because at first I'm like, I don't even know how to sell my own vision, but I see it in my head. Gore is emotional gore. It
Mm-hmm.
is exposing every thought, every feeling onto a song and your lyrics and your composition. It's funny because when people think Gore, we've had a lot of comments of like, you guys aren't like a death metal band. You guys are like a singy band, and your name's Gore, but it's not Gore like
Horror
death
gore.
metal horror gore. It is emotional gore. It's raw, it's exposed, it's showing all your insides. Like that's what our Gore is.
Mm-hmm. I like that because you do feel that emotion that you do put into these songs, and I feel it's important to write about these harder subjects and push that out into the world, because not only does it help you with your healing process and it's very cathartic, but it also helps people out there know that they're not alone in feeling what they're feeling, and that's what I personally love about music. I have to be able to connect to it for it to go in my playlist, and both of your songs are in my playlist. They have been since I reacted to them, and I'm so excited for what's to come for you guys. And you also had a comment recently from the one and only Chris Motionless on Doomsday. How was that for you? I bet you were just like, what is happening right now?
I got that in my car while I was driving, and I had to
Yeah.
pull over because I was driving because I live in a pretty hilly area where there's a lot of like
Uh-huh.
winding roads and stuff. But I remember seeing that pop up, and I was like, it's probably just a fan page. Then you see
Right.
like the little like blue
Yeah.
check, and I'm like, fuck. I'm pulling over, and I'm like, holy shit, that is like one of the biggest people in metal, period. I was blown. Oh, I still am. I'm like, like what's happening, you know?
Yeah.
And it's also very kind of him to go out of his way to people who are small like me and
Yeah.
say those things. It's extremely encouraging and validating. That man probably busier than anybody and found the time to encourage us, and so it's just a wholesome experience.
Well, and it also just shows the kind of person he is deep down, and it only takes a little comment like that from somebody that you look up to, then to be like, oh, well, wait, because we're our own worst enemies to, I am too, like with my channel. I'm like, was that good enough? Should I put this out? Should I do that? And then you get these little comments here and there, and it just validates your experience and what you're doing, and it helps you push to become even better. And I saw
Yeah.
your post on social media about that, and I was like, that is huge. And I am so happy for you guys.
Yeah, and it was very validating on another level because it was on the song that was a little not afraid of. But Frey is like kind of like a shoegazy ass beater. Like I feel like it is palatable for a larger audience. Doomsday, not as much.
Yeah.
So it was, especially the beginning lyrics. Like, God, you wouldn't believe how many people on my team are like, man, I don't know, and I'm like, we're releasing that song. Like, it makes a statement, and so for him to say that on that song was it just like warmed my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, it is such an important message, because I think a lot of people, I mean, you guys are obviously just starting out, but even those bands who have the bigger platform, they tend to deviate away from real world issues and problems. And I'm just happy that you guys aren't doing that, and you're starting off strong, and you're like, this is what we're about. This is the message we want to convey, and this is us. If you don't like it, leave it,
Right. Yeah, we kind of joke about it sometimes. We took the punk approach. It's like if you don't
Yeah.
like it, then don't fucking listen to it.
Exactly, exactly. And that leads me perfectly onto my next question, because obviously as a woman, and as a content creator myself, there's obviously a lot of gatekeeping within this male, predominantly male industry. Like, how do you go about handling that?
Um, with help. um, you know, there are still certain things that people will say that do get to me. It doesn't happen nearly as much anymore. I remember when God, back in like 2017, first putting my stuff on the internet, any negative comment would really, really get to me. I really do think it is just a matter of exposure. You continually see that happening, and it just gets less and less of a thing. The
Hmm.
more you're exposed to it, exposure therapy. Um, I would say I just try to, anytime that I see a comment that actually does get to me, because a lot of them don't. I see it, and it's just like seeing any other comment, and I just scroll. But if I see one that really does get to me, I try to think of the ratio of people that are saying bad things to good things. The last thing I want to do is become ungrateful for all of the incredible fans we do have by that attention being shadowed by somebody being an asshole on the internet.
Right, right.
So I'll make sure, and how I do that is I make sure, okay, if you're going to respond to a negative comment, go respond to 5 other positive ones. Go look and respond to 5 other positive ones, because you will realize, even though you're thinking about the negative comments probably more, you are getting a lot more positive. And that's kind of how I handle it in my own internal way.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. It's a healthy way to do it, I think, because for me, I just think, well, obviously there's something going on in this person's world where they're not happy within whatever's going on, and that's on them. It's nothing to do with me. They're taking it out on me for some unknown reason, but at the same time, I can't control that. So, just have
Yeah.
to. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's very hard. It's especially like you in the beginning when I first started my channel, and I am a very sensitive person anyway, and
Oh,
I
same.
tend to, yeah, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm just every little criticism I take to heart, and I have noticed that I have grown a thicker skin because of comments like that, and especially being a woman and being in this metal scene, the amount of audacity, should I say, that some of these people have. I'm like, why? Why waste your energy on that?
Yeah, the audacity is really funny that you mentioned that, because I've gotten a couple of comments that are like, "Well, Courtney LaPlan already did this," and I was like, "So she can be the only one?" But
Right.
that's what you're telling me. She can be the only one. Like that.
Yeah.
That alone is super sexist and like misogynistic that you would even say that.
Hmm.
Even though I love my girl, I mean, she's part of she's a big inspiration to me, but that still sucks. That's a shit take. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That's like saying, well, only Michael Jackson can do this or only somebody can do that. And it's like, no, the world is full of so many amazing, talented people that one spot, the spotlight doesn't just shine on one person. It's there for everybody who wants to get into this. And, I seeing you like, because you have done like funny videos of where you've responded to the hate comments by screaming them on your social media, and I think that's a brilliant way to handle it as well. It's a good way to put that humor into it and inject that lightness that it needs, and it's a way for you to also handle that as well.
Yeah, shout out to the person who commented that that should be done, because that was a great idea. And that kind of leads me to another thing. I think the work that I've put in and like the vision, your band isn't like anything without your team, and I have an incredible team. When we started out, we didn't have any management.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have management that I don't know how I was doing any of this without them initially.
Right.
And incredible bandmates, incredible, producer and everything behind me. Like it's or on the side of me. It's just like you're only as good as your team. And I'm really lucky that I was able to get such a good team so quickly. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. It's, you need that support from people surrounding you, because even though my channel is just everything you see is just me, if it wasn't for my husband and his backing and him telling me how proud he is of me, I don't think I'd have kept going as long as I have. And it's so very important to just have that inner circle of people, and like you say, your band members, your producer, your manager. And I can't imagine how crazy it was for you doing everything without a manager.
I was screwing up a lot. I mean, like not too bad. My managers always tell me you're doing better than you think you are, but I look back and I just, one weakness that I do have is I can be pretty naive. I'm just like, oh, everybody, is here to help, and it's
Hmm.
just like not, unfortunately, how the industry works sometimes. And so it's really nice to have other people to give perspective before I make a decision on something. And yeah, I'm grateful for my team each and every single day.
It's it also takes that weight off of your shoulders just a little bit, and then it helps you be able to focus on the music itself. And and you're not just like having 1,000 things go through your brain all the time. And I can only imagine how much easier it got. Well, not easier than it was.
Exactly. Well, like now, sometimes I still feel like I'm more running a business than I am a musician,
Yeah.
but that weight is a little bit, level now. Because in this day and age, promotion via social media, networking, connecting is just that is how you get your band out there. Like, can't really just be like the cool guy and make cool
Mm-hmm.
music and then, it's and like not have a social media presence. Like, no, you have to build yourself up a lot. Even some of these really big bands that you see out there now that seem untouchable and they don't really post on social media and they don't have a presence. They did
Mm-hmm.
when they were starting. It's just that now that time has passed and they don't have to necessarily put themselves out there forcibly as much in the same way as we do.
Right.
Um,
And one thing I have noticed about, even though you do only have the 2 songs, I feel like every social media post that you do, whether that's an Instagram reel or your TikTok, I feel like it's still very original content with the
yeah.
song. And how do you come up with these different things? Is it just like a group effort of people just coming together with all their ideas?
Um, Management helps. Now that they're on board, they've helped with a couple of ideas. A lot of it is, it's funny because I'm not much of a procrastinator, but when it comes to like posting like good content, I gotta like sometimes like my best ideas are just kind of like the day before I post something. I'll see
Right.
something, I'll go, oh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do that today or whatever. I wish I was more organized with that, but a lot of it is seeing stuff that's already being done on the internet, like prompts and stuff like that. Like, do you like bands like this or blah, 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 blah. And
Mm-hmm.
then making them our own. And like the branding of being an engineer that started a metal band has been very helpful in that way because it does set us apart. You can kind of go, oh, that one, engineer that started that metal band. Oh, we know that's probably Gore, you know.
Yeah.
So that's been helpful with branding as well. For sure. You just got to find what makes you unique.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that also helps me with just deviating a little bit away from the band from one, because you are a spacewalk engineer for NASA. And I was wondering how you got into doing that as, as your career, as your full-time job. And had you always had like a fascination with sci-fi and space as you were growing up?
Yeah. So really, this is a bit underwhelming, but it's true. Really, I went to college and, you get a lot of pressure from your parents to do something that will make you a comfortable living. And I'm glad
Hmm.
that I got that pressure from them. So I started off in mechanical engineering, going to TCU in Fort Worth. And man, I felt like I had to work really, really hard and got kind of like not that great of grades, and it wasn't very fun. I didn't find it fun. And I was going to leave the college and go do something else. And then my advisor just was like, please try electrical before you leave. Because I think there was like 3 women in the
Hmm.
engineering college at the time. So they were like, like we want to make sure that you at least try this before you leave. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't say that to anybody else, but woman to woman, she's like, I want to see you, succeed. And I took my first circuit analysis test and I got double the average grade
Hmm.
because the average was like a 50 and I got like 100. So I'd found my thing. And that helped me build just an all around better understanding of all engineering concepts. And so I ended up graduating and holding a very good GPA, which when I was sophomore going into junior year, we all got this distro email about NASA hiring.
Hmm.
And it was one of those things where it's like, I will not get this. I think a lot of people, when they think of a NASA engineer, they just think of some crazy prodigy that literally is like book smarter than anybody else on the entire planet. It's not how that works. Because having solid communication skills And people skills is one of the most important parts of being an engineer, at least in operations where I work.
Hmm.
But a few interviews later, I'm getting a co-op, which is basically an internship there. And so I left college for a year to go work there. And then I finished my degree, came back, and now I work there full time. And it's the best place in the world to work. I literally nothing but amazing things to say about it. I love it so much.
Yeah, I assume you work at the branch in Houston? Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so my my husband is like a huge sci-fi space nerd. He loves all of that stuff, and we visited Houston last year, and he
Mm,
didn't know I'd like with I don't know. Have you checked out Old School Nerd yet? His reactions?
no,
Yeah, I
no.
don't know if he's done any to Gore. I'll have to double check. I'm sure I probably sent him some, but so we met up with him in Houston, and because he lives close by, and we flew in because one of my favorite bands was playing there, and I took my we did the tour, and my husband was just like a little kid in a candy store, like, that fascinating. It was so nice to watch him do, go around like that. I wish we'd have known you back then, and we could have maybe met up and hung
Yeah.
out. But yeah, hopefully next time when we come back, we can connect in real life. But yeah, it was so nice to see, and because like I do love sci-fi and I do love space, but it's not my thing. But just to see him and see that wonder come out, it was amazing.
Yeah, and honestly, it was not my thing either. It didn't become a thing until I started working there. I was never
Right,
like this huge space geek, but I was an engineering geek. So,
right.
like it fit well enough, but it really does turn you back into a little kid.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And that also leads me to this question. It's a bit of a difficult one because obviously, as the band grows and gets bigger, it's going to be hard to be there full time and also be with the band full time. So, would you go part time with NASA, or would you just like go full time with the band, or like have you thought about that?
Yeah, I have thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
The thing that I tell myself and what I'm going to live by is my NASA job is still my first priority.
Hmm.
As much as I wish I could say Gore was first, it's not.
Right,
My job
right.
has ultimate consequences if it is not your first priority.
Hmm.
So it always will be for as long as I am working here. I will continue to serve NASA and the mission and the crew for as long as I can while still pursuing what I love on the side. There are plenty of people at NASA who also have, incredible hobbies. One of my coworkers does why can't it's not BMX. It's not with a motored bike, but it's like he does like I'll just say like extreme sports. I
Hmm.
know people that have incredible hobbies outside of work, and I can continue to do the same. But the moment that things get too hectic and I cannot support the mission like safely and effectively, that's when that conversation has to come in.
Yeah.
Because I take my job extremely seriously. So
Well, and you have to, because you've literally got people who are relying on you who are literally in space, and
yeah,
that's a crazy thing to think about.
yeah. But
So
I'd love to keep working, for NASA as long as I can.
yeah,
And I still, this is another thing I tell myself. I do my job like music will never work out. I continue to, take it as seriously as I can. I always joke that I have a 9 to 5 and then I have a 5 to 9. I
right.
literally wake up at 5 a.m., work out, whatever, do my job, do my NASA job, and then I turn around and I work on music for almost as long.
Hmm.
Um, so it's funny because a lot of people say, you need to live your dream like you don't have a backup plan. I don't know if I agree with that as like a blanket statement. I think it requires a lot of context.
Yeah. Well, and it also doesn't help that both you absolutely adore both of these things at the same time, and it's also scary to quit a full-time job that you do absolutely adore and go into something that you don't know necessarily will earn you much of a living, because that's what you need. You need to be able to sustain your life and your house and bills and everything
Yeah.
that comes with life. And I just can't imagine how scary. Yet also it's exciting as well, but you just yeah, I know you'll do the right thing. Like you say, you need to obviously think about these people that rely on you, and that needs to be your number one priority, which I totally understand. I totally get that.
One thing that I can say for sure is I will do my NASA job well as long as I have it, and I will kick ass in the music industry, as you know, while I'm in it. Like
I mean,
I wholeheartly believe that.
you're already doing that. So going back to music, what does your creative process look like while you're writing or composing your music?
Well, I guess the first thing is, man, I hate to say this because mental health is something that you should always take more seriously than anything else in life. But
Mm-hmm.
um, my best music has come out when I've been really, really sad. I've been going through a lot.
Yeah.
EP1 was written through in a very, very difficult time in my life. And really, I think the most important thing about writing is getting out of your comfort zone and putting your ego away, because you're going to have ideas that don't work. Not every idea that you have needs to come to fruition in any way. Like art doesn't always have to be shown, you know? And that's something that I had to learn pretty quickly too.
Mm-hmm.
I try to always be the dumbest person in the room for pretty much anything. And writing has also been that way, where I've, sat with people who've been writing a lot longer than I have, and I, listen to their ideas, and it always comes back around to turning something into myself, a reflection of myself. Like there's a song that we haven't released yet that's extremely emotional for me. It's about it's essentially like a eulogy to the time in my life where I wanted to be like a mom with kids.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't happened for me yet, and so that song's kind of like letting that part of me die, which is really sad, but
Yeah.
kind of like, bringing music into that space instead for now. But whenever I'm feeling those terrible emotional roller coasters, it really does help the music. And the fact that, I've been able to kind of turn it into to good music, I think has helped the band a lot. And sometimes you write lyrics first, sometimes you write a melody first. It all just depends on what the song's calling for. There's really no set way I feel like there's no set way to like write good music
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah, you on like of course I've been doing these interviews for quite a while now, and it's surprising the amount of artists that say the best music comes when I am down and I'm in that darkness,
Yeah.
and I think of the bravery and what it takes for you to write things like that, because as somebody who's been in a situation where I didn't think I would ever come out of the darkness, and then feeling like writing something about that, and getting those feelings out there, and then sharing that with the whole world to see, and then you, of course, you're going to have people listening in the comments, and I just think it's super brave, and I just want to commend you on doing that, and for putting yourself out there and being vulnerable enough to put yourself out there.
Thank you. Yeah. And luckily there's been so many other amazing artists to do it before me, so it doesn't feel as scary.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So who inspired you who or what should I say inspired you to go into music?
Um, God. So it's funny because science and NASA and space wasn't my little girl dream.
Right.
Music was.
Mhm.
I every day as a little girl, I dreamed of performing and writing and being a musician in general. Nothing connected with me quite like music ever. I was never a casual listener. I was like, I'm gonna listen to the song, I'm gonna cry.
Mhm.
Like very much hyper fixate and like attached to musical pieces. Um, I gotta say, and say it time and time again, I'll say it all the time. The biggest band to probably inspire me in a long time has been Nothing But Thieves. They are a rock band.
Mhm.
But like just like vibrato being cool again, putting that in like a rock band. I'm like, oh, it's just so fresh, such a fresh sound, and the songwriting is incredible and very in your face emotional as well. I also grew up loving R&B. I still do. It's still one of my favorite genres. Metal is actually, I think, the thing that's the most, I kind of go back and forth with the most.
Mhm.
But performing metal is the most fun thing. I can't think of anything more fun than getting up on stage and performing a metal song or a metal set. I don't think there's anything more fun in life, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm with you though. I think, that we have access to so many different genres and subgenres and different, like, there's fully classical stuff, and then there's stuff that takes things from R&B, from pop, from trance, from dance, from whatever, and they intertwine it into metal. Like metalcore has become a big thing that they do that with, and I love that. I love when musicians take inspiration from the world around them, and I think a lot of metalheads are, well, do have a wide variety in what they listen to. I certainly do. I don't just listen to purely metal. I absolutely love movie scores and soundtracks and instrumental music like that. And as a kid, my mum would she's always said that the only thing that would make me be quiet for hours on end was Disney's Fantasia, and that's like full on
Oh,
classical
yeah.
music. And then you discover bands that are symphonic metal, and it's like this metal and symphony that comes together, and it's like mind blowing. And I just love the experimentation of music, and there's no just set one style, and I feel like that's what you guys are doing with Gore as well. You do have your Gore sound, yet both of these songs have been so different, and what you bring into the table is fresh. And for me, your voice is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I was listening to your isolated vocals that you put up. I was just like, how does she do that? It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, and that was another thing. That idea came from, was it Miss May? I think they posted maybe
Mhm.
their isolated. It was an incredible content idea for sure. So I,
Yeah.
stole that. Thanks, guys. But and I think I've said this a lot. I never thought I didn't think I was good enough to do any of this until maybe like 2 years ago.
Mhm.
So this is all very new. Being able to take compliments on my voice is a new thing. I used to be like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
But no, I really appreciate that. And I guess if I could tell everybody one thing, it's like, don't get too attached to what you've heard. We're still
Right.
identifying our sound. And because I am so frantic with my music style and I always like trying new things, like just don't get too attached, because we will continue to put out good music, but it may be different than what you're expecting. So
Which is good. It's exciting. What are your goals for like 2024 personally, but also as a musician?
so musician wise, I want Gore to tour in 2024. So Gore tour. And that's probably the big one. Um, and I want us to establish a a more solid fan base. I think we have a lot of people that are following us and waiting for us to, do more things. And I want to make sure we solidify the fan base that we do have. Um, and personally, I think personally, I want to alter my lifestyle a bit to where I can better handle being a musician and an engineer at the same time. Um, personally, I'm just kind of looking to downsize a bit my life in general, and because I am a little princess. I like having my nice things, but being a musician and being able to maintain my engineering job are more important than anything. I've
Hmm.
already had to make a lot of sacrifices very quickly for Gore, and I will continue to do that. So
Yeah. I think it's finding that right balance, isn't it, that we have to do. And it's sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's like, do I really have to let this go? But then you
yeah,
look, you look at the outcome and what's going to come from that, and it's like, unfortunately I do, but it'll be better in the long run.
I'd do it again if I had to. I mean,
Exactly.
I'm yeah.
Well, I'm not going to keep you much longer, Haley. I appreciate you being here. Do you have any like last words for people watching this who are either discovering you through this interview or who have followed you from the beginning with the two singles, and just of thanks or anything like that?
Yeah, the first thing is I have an immense amount of gratitude for the people that have been extremely supportive of us so far. I can already think on the top of my head several people on social media that comment and share on everything.
Hmm.
And nobody is asking them to do that or forcing them to do that. They are just doing it because they believe in our project. And that kind of gratitude and love and support is immeasurably important for a band as new as us. Um, with that being said, we are still new, so we are
Hmm.
still figuring things out. So we greatly appreciate patience waiting for our next songs to come out, because they will be. Don't you worry. And then yeah, our next song or two, I genuinely think is the song. I don't
Hmm.
think we've put out our songs that are like, oh, that's the Gore song. I think that that's yet to come on this EP. So definitely keep your eyes and ears peeled. And thank a big thank you to reaction pages like yours and Steve O'Gallagher's. I mean, that's a lot of how people have found us. I think you that job can be a thankless job sometimes. And you do it incredibly well.
Thank you.
So I'm just happy to be here talking to you, and I appreciate you giving me some of your time too.
Of course, everybody, I will leave Gore's information down in the description where you can find them on their social medias and, of course, their YouTube channel. Please go ahead and support them, subscribe to them, just follow them. Haley and the band are amazing, amazing people, and they put so much of themselves and their souls into what they're doing. And you can truly feel that in these two singles that they have released so far. I am so very excited for whatever else you guys have for us, and whenever you drop that next single, I will be on top of it. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tori.
Bye, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to become a Taurian. Speaking of becoming a Taurian, all of my social media links and my Discord link are down in the description. We'd absolutely love to have you come hang out in the Discord community, and I will see you guys in the next video. Rock on.